I would like to go through just sort of a list of a few things, of thank yous and a couple of to-dos for the night, so please bear with me as we go through this. First of all, I do want to make sure that we all understand the significance and the dignity of this ceremony tonight. I would appreciate, first of all, that because of the dignity of the program, we would all take a second and turn off our cell phones, please. It's always a big thing. It's always a big thing. So I'd like to do that so we can go uninterrupted. You know, I mentioned that the dignity of this evening. I want you to stop and think about this. The inductees already know this, but for those of us who are here as family members and friends, we need to understand the special significance of being honored by your hometown. I'll let you take care of it. I think maybe we can do it if I go from here. But anyway, the significance of this evening. You're being honored by your hometown. It's your moment in the sun. It's one of these evenings where we say thank you to you for all of your exploits. Each of the inductees who has really laid it on the line for Dover Athletics. And even though for many of them it's been a long time coming, that time has arrived. And the significance of that is demonstrated by the amount of people who are here. And we are very appreciative that all the inductees who could are here this evening. Tim mentioned earlier that we have people from Los Angeles. James Black came from Los Angeles. John Ebert over here came from Florida. And the people have just come from all over. We have people from Columbus. We have people who have come all over the place to come here to Dover this evening. So we're very appreciative of that. The second thing I would like to do, and I do want these people to stand up, please, as I call their names. Athletic Director, Chairperson, and Treasurer of the Hall of Fame Committee, Tim McCray. You've already met Tim. Other members of the... I should mention from Hope Plaza. Okay. But other members of the committee are back at this table back here. If you would look, please, you will see Jim Heller, Terry Immel, Kevin Keffer, Jim Meese, Judy Bassbinder, and Colby Byron. Colby is over here. The selection committee, who follows up the nominating committee, is comprised, and I don't know if any of them are here, maybe just a few, a couple of them I know of. Amber Schaefer, president of the Dover Mothers Club. Doug Bambeck, president of the Dover Education Foundation. Matt Stevens, president of the Dover Tornado Club. Steve Maston, representing the Dover Board of Education. And Doug Clark, who is the at-large community representative. If any of those would please rise. At the very least, we're going Without them, this doesn't happen. We also would like to express some thanks for a number of people. First of all, Dover Senior Center and the staff for the wonderful meal. I looked at my watch and the line was done in 20 minutes. And I'm thinking, that's pretty good. That's pretty good for a banquet. And so that was exceptional. The food was, I'll speak only from my taste, but I think it was delicious. And I wanted to go back for more, but I didn't want to look like a pig, so I decided to like it. But so it was delicious there. I would also like to thank the donors who have financially stepped up to the plate and reserved tables to honor our inductees. That's a big part of this evening, making sure that we get those tables reserved. Special recognition goes to Dan Warther of Dan Warther Carving, who has produced the Contributors Awards. Jody Nicholas of McDonald Nicholas Framing for her donation of the frames and certificates for the Golf Team Awards. Warther Cutlery for the Legends and the Individual Awards. And Baker Floral for the table centerpieces. I also would like to thank Limby's for sponsoring the beverages and so on for this evening as well. A special acknowledgement at this time, and he's already been thanked, but I want him to stand up in a moment, is also given to Denny Rubrick, whose background work and research on the inductees is invaluable to this committee and to this Master of Ceremonies. Believe me, his work behind the scenes is thorough, detailed, and so much appreciated. Denny, if you could please rise. He's another one. Without him, this doesn't happen. Previous Hall of Fame members, I would like for you to stand up, please, If you have been inducted before into this Hall of Fame, please rise, and I will call attention. Frank?
Yeah.
The second class, but the first banquet. And Frank's history, of course, Dover, Ohio State, as quarterback, also was heavily involved in coaching football, collegiate football throughout his career. Every time I hear the name Frank Elwood, I still think of one thing. He spoke before one of the football games, the Dover Philly game at the pep rally. And my wife and I were sitting there, and Frank was giving a rah-rah speech and getting them going, and he said something to this effect. Everybody says you have potential, but potential means you ain't worth a damn right now. And I never forgot that. And I thought, wise old coach. So thank you, Frank, for coming. I politely, again, I've already said about the cell phones, but again, we've got all that taken care of. But I politely would like to mention two other things. All the centerpieces remain, with the exception of the inductees table. Okay? So those little planters that you have in the middle there with baseball stuff, and those stay. After the last banquet, we failed to mention that, and everybody took them. So please make sure we've got that covered. Okay? Inductees, you can take your centerpiece. The rest of us, no. Okay? And the other part, if anyone is interested in a program from the last induction ceremony, which was 2019 because of COVID, they are on the table by the exits where they should be. You can grab one on the way. Okay? I think we've got everything covered. All right. Let's get the show. Whoop. Okay?
One detail I failed to mention, if you notice in the back of the room we have a camera on, that we are going to film it, and then it's going to be on our DHS Athletics YouTube channel sometime next week, so it will be preserved for history for those that were not able to make it this evening. And special thanks to Justin Marshall for showing up to do that tonight. Thank you.
Beginning this year, we are inducting notable individuals who have been instrumental to the Dover Athletic Department. Our inaugural recipients of this honor are both longtime sponsors, supporters, and advocates for anything Dover. Anyone who has ever been around sports realizes that support from the community is vital to sustaining a successful program. These two gentlemen we are honoring this evening are the epitome of being key contributors. Our first honoree is Mr. Douglas Ray Melvin, a 1948 graduate of Dover High School and a former player with the legendary coach Dutch Furby. As a devoted follower of the football program, Ray and his wife Fran took great pride in calling themselves Tornadoes. Recognizing a need for the football program, Ray and Fran, in 2002, purchased the first gator to assist in transporting equipment to the practice field and moving equipment trunks and other larger equipment on game nights. In 2021, Ray purchased another gator in memory of Fran, who had passed away in 2019. However, that was not all that Ray did. He and his wife were the initial contributors to the 2005 drive to erect an impress box. Unbeknownst to most, at the season's conclusion, Ray and his wife would choose a Tornadoes senior football player who had played a strong role but had not received much publicity. As that boy's reward, they would purchase the student's books for the fall semester of his freshman year at college. Again, I stress this point, with literally zero publicity. Beyond the student's family and a few other individuals, Ray and Fran made their contribution to our athletic department and our kids. Today, Ray is a resident of Amberwood Manor Nursing Home in New Philadelphia. But the legacy of Ray and Fran will continue to be felt at Crater Stadium and around Dover Tornado football, as they truly are Tornadoes forever. Tonight, we are honored to acknowledge Ray Melvin and his late wife Fran as the first of two initial honorees as contributors into the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame. Accepting Ray's award on his behalf is Mr. Colby Bitener. Thanks, Colby. Our second contributor inductee, Mr. Ron Whetstone, was a devoted volunteer, supporter, diehard fan, and a friend to all. An absolute treasure to our athletic department. Excuse me. A larger-than-life kind of guy to me, Ronnie was a walking testament that if the mind stays active, the body will follow. Well into his 90s, he continued to be a loyal and valuable part of all our programs, whether it was keeping scorebooks in basketball and baseball, running the clock in football, or volunteering at the tornado relays. However, my story with Ronnie goes beyond that. I have seldom, if ever, been around a person as kind as he. A constant encourager, a realist, and a devotee to others for his calling. All who knew him had strong respect because of what he was. No fakeness to the guy existed. He didn't swear or drink, and he always gave credit for his life to his pride and joy, his wife, Charlotte. From Ronnie, I learned what a truly great person is. He humbles me because of his selflessness and support of our kids and our coaches. When we won, he was there. When we lost, he was there. When we needed a buddy, he was there. Bottom line for me is simple. Not many Ronnie Whetstones still exist. To this day, I treasure my relationship with him. In the many years of his involvement, the number of kids he took out to eat after games, the number of camp registrations he paid for kids who could not afford the fees, the number of shoes he bought for those same kids, the list goes on. Like Ray, he did nothing for recognition. It was all to help kids to find themselves. When a guy like Ronnie takes his time to encourage and congratulate those same kids, a special bond is formed that is never forgotten. On November 13, 2021, we lost Ronnie, but we can be assured that his time on this earth was remarkably fulfilling. Not only for students and families fondly recall their interactions with him, but we will always remember him for the example he set about being loyal, caring, and loving toward family and Dover kids. We are so pleased to acknowledge Ron Whetstone, as well as the role his cherished late wife Charlotte played in shaping his personality, as one of the two initial honorees as contributors into the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame, and accepting his award is his son, Todd Whetstone.
To say to the nominating committee, on behalf of my brother Scott, and our family, and our mom, we want to thank you for honoring my dad for his service to Dover Athletics. My mom and my dad love this community. They loved raising us in this community, my brother and I. I think if he were here, he would say to the community, the young men and women he came in contact with over the years, he would say, thank you for the love, thank you for caring, thank you for support, thank you for the friendships, and thank you for the memories. To the coaches, as you know, my dad had a special relationship with coaches. He had a special affinity with the basketball programs and the football programs. So Coach F, thank you very much. Bobby, and hopefully if I miss somebody, count it out. There's Bobby, Matt, there was Brian Miller, Scott, Scott, you too. So he would say, thank you again for all the friendship. You guys kept him going. Mom's been going almost 20 years. The young people and the coaching kept him going. And he wanted to do the scoring. The story for you, Coach Jeff, is he had surgery, and I was the one that got to go to the hospital, and he said, I think you're going to have to call him. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to keep the clock this week. Thank you very much. And then Mike said, and I'm going to say it because my mom didn't get enough credit. She was behind the scenes, and behind every good man is a great woman. And my mom was a great woman. She was. She, for 30 years, 30 plus years, she got him ready for football and basketball refereeing. As you well know, he did a little trips around during the wintertime, during Christmas time. She was Mrs. Claus. And so she was always there for him, getting him ready, and she was definitely behind the scenes. And I know that when he went to heaven, I know that she would be the first one there. And this is for the ladies and people that know my dad. My mom would say, this is a beautiful place, let me show you around. But she said, there's one thing you need to know about this place. Seniority counts. And that means head of household, kind of bossy type of stuff. And this is forever. So, to the community, thank you very much. It's very much appreciated by our family.
That's the one I knew I'd have trouble with. Me on that. As you will hear me reference several times this evening, we know how to win around. A common theme that will be reinforced is that these individual inductees and team inductees are all reflective of the best we have had, the winners who have proven themselves worthy of induction into our Athletic Hall of Fame. To start us off, under the direction of head coach Eric Adams, the 2014 girls golf team ascended to the highest level of Division II competition and earned only the second state championship in any girls sport in our girls' history, concluding their season with impressive records that until this day have never been equaled. These girls achieved season records of 12-0 in the ECOL and versus non-league opponents 147-19, combining for an overall season accomplishment of 159-19. Now, team members who played in the state tournament are the following, and I will ask you, you can go ahead and just hold your applause until we're done, okay? The first is Miss Caitlin Shutt. Caitlin's right here, okay? Caitlin had a 4th place finish and was an all-high, averaging 37.8 per round. Following graduation, she earned a bachelor's degree in chemistry while playing 4 years of collegiate golf at Youngstown State University. Currently, she is employed at Park Village Nursing Home in Bill. Alexis Wilkinson. Here, Alexis. Alexis was a 33rd place finisher at the tournament. And following graduation, she played golf at Baldwin Wallace's before switching her majors into nursing, which required her to switch schools. And she pursued a nursing degree from the Alton School of Nursing. At this time, she is a registered nurse at the Alton Hospital Emergency Room and is currently pursuing a real estate license. Again, that was Caitlin and Alexis. They are the two who are here. We have a third who is not here, but her parents are. So I would like for her parents and family to stand. Mackenzie Dale, if you would stand, please. Okay? Thank you. Mackenzie tied for 25th place in Columbus. She is currently pursuing a professional golf management degree at Ferris State University in Michigan, but currently she is doing an internship in Arizona. So the decision to come from Arizona, enough said, I don't know. So please pass that on to her, if you would, please. The other two members who played in the state tournament were Allison Mills. Allison had a 23rd place finish in the state tournament and is currently residing in Georgia. This weekend, she is graduating from the police academy. Thus, she could not come home for this ceremony. And the fifth member of the team that played in Columbus was Tatum Simmons, tied for 51st place and attended Cleveland State University. Victoria Adams did not play in the state tournament because only 5 golfers could be scored. However, she was the 6th girl on the roster and did receive a state tournament medal. Please join with me as we welcome the 2014 state champion girls golf team and head coach Eric Adams to the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame. Need help, Tim?
Wow, thank you. What an honor. Thank you for the election committee, Dover Tornado Club, everybody involved. I'm sure I'm going to miss somebody, but I can't say thanks enough. It started for me with Mr. Kevin Keffer. He came to me and wanted to coach, and I said, Kevin, just give me the best coach we can in the state. I want to play the best. And he did that. And this team started, it was co-ed until 2010. It was actually the first golf team for girls golf. And on our 4th year, players from this current championship team, in 2013, we were state runners-up. In our 5th year as a team, we were state champions. And then in our 6th year, we decided to have more students enroll. We became Division I. And it was, since the schedule that I mentioned, playing the best, we got to know everybody by their first names. All of a sudden, it wasn't Dublin Jerome, it was, hey, that's Lisa. And we were very comfortable. We were already there a couple years, and we ended up being 6th in Division I. What does that mean? That's quite an honor. I would say it was a tight group, and I would say this group and team members, it would be like losing in the state championship football game to the Cleveland St. Ignatius, probably by a touchdown or less. It was that close. So we were in the game. And what a crew. Girls, they were not only great competitors, they took that in every phase of their lives. And they were great students. And I think you don't have to look far, but it comes from great parenting. So, nice job on my dads. Well done. I do have one quick golf story I guess I can tell. The 2013 runner-up team, we lost by 11 shots. Last day we did shoot the best score in the whole field at the state. And the next year, when we won in 2014, what we're here for tonight, we shot the best score both days. So, there were 3 of the 4 rounds, we had the lowest score at state. And in doing so, we lost my train of thought there. But in doing so, this group continued to go further, and I will tell you that we lost by 11 shots in that runner-up year, and Kevin might remember this, maybe not, but I said to him, it really affected me, because that first group was the first group of girls to go through, and they really set the mark for the team. And I mentioned to Kevin, I go, man, this was tough. We only lost by 11 shots, and I wish I would have been 12 shots better as a coach. I'm sure every coach has said that. And Kevin, as gracious as he was, he said, Eric, he said, you're state runner-up. I mean, great job. The girls did wonderful. And I went home, and man, we talked about a sense of humor that God has. I prayed about it. And I said, just make me be 12 shots better. And the next year, We win state, and we were 12 shots better. And the following year, when we finished sixth in Division One, the course played about 300 yards further, and guess what? We were again 12 shots better. So that's my story. Thank you for everybody. These ladies are wonderful. What a nice group to have, and look forward to them and their children probably coming up through playing golf. So Dover has a bright history, future. So thanks again, and thank you.
Girls, keep one thing in mind, you are state champions. Not everybody can say it. You can. Be very, very proud of what's accomplished. Very much so. This evening's fourth inductee is a man whose name in these parts is easily recognizable to many of us. Not only for the former Bitener Tire Company, but equally important as an outstanding athlete. William Bill Bitener is this year's lone inductee in the Legends category, meaning athletic prowess in the pre-1950s. Okay? That's the criteria for Legends. Okay? His career as an athlete was quite decorated. An All-Ohioan as both a freshman and a junior in basketball, Bill was a leader on both the 1927 state championship team as well as the 1929 state runners-up squad. In fact, his All-Ohio selection as a freshman made him the first ninth grader in state history to achieve such an honor. Having left Dover for a Pennsylvania prep school following his junior year, he concluded his Dover years with 509 points. Along with his basketball success, he was an accomplished football player as a freshman in 1926 when the Tornadoes went undefeated. Following his high school, he attended Ohio State University, where he was a 3-year starter. While at Ohio State University, the Buckeyes won the Big Ten title during his sophomore season. He was team MVP during his junior year, and he was unanimously chosen as team captain for his senior year and recognized as an All-American. Following graduation from college, he played for Goodyear Wingfooters, a semi-professional basketball team, for several years, leading to a relationship with the Goodyear Tire Company. He started his business, which we knew as Bitener Tire Company, from the back of a sedan by taking out the back seat. He ultimately expanded it to a multi-bay garage, a parts center, and a retreading operation located on Worcester Avenue, across from Limby's, a place, of course, that all Doverites will recognize. Throughout his life, he maintained his love of all things related to sports, remaining an avid basketball and football fan until the end. If you get a chance this evening, please direct your attention over here, okay, to basketball uniform, a wool basketball uniform, I might point out. Okay, we have a scrapbook and a variety of other things that were put together by his grandchildren, his granddaughter. Okay. He and his high school sweetheart, Viola, married after his college graduation and celebrated 47 years of marriage before his passing in 1982 at age 71. This evening, we are proud to induct Mr. Bill Bitener into the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame, and accepting on Bill's behalf is his one of 3 grandchildren who are here in attendance, Jennifer Reed.
It's wonderful to see a Werther carving here, the little flyers. My grandparents, obviously, from Dover, and my mother and uncle grew up in Dover, and I grew up in Hamilton, Ohio, but we made many trips here to Dover to the new Werther Museum. And being here tonight, I realized where my mother gets her love of all things hometown. I thought that began in Hamilton, Ohio, but it's really clear she learned all that in Dover, Ohio. I'm here tonight with my brother Will and my cousin Bev and her husband Gunnar and my Aunt Sandy and Uncle David. And we are so honored to receive the award and to have our grandfather inducted into this Hall of Fame. We'd like to thank the Dover High School Athletic Department for inducting our grandfather. It's a lovely honor that you are bestowing upon him and our family, and we are so proud to be here tonight. His early success as an athlete put him on a path to broader success in his life. As is so often the case, people get firm grounding in athletics. And he went on and experienced lots of success in his life, but he didn't achieve all that on his own. I'm firmly convinced, we all are, that the support that he received from the Dover High School teachers, his educators, his trainers, his coaches, all helped to launch him on his path to success and put him on a path to a rich and full life. He was a successful athlete, an accomplished businessman, a loving and generous husband, father, and grandfather. And we are blessed beyond measure to have had him in our lives. And, I knew I wanted to say this before I got here tonight, but having heard you and the previous son of an award winner speak in such moving terms about what this community and this athletic department mean to you, it really drives home the significance of what my grandfather received from this community. It's very powerful, and it is very dignified, and it's very meaningful to all of us. So we want to thank Jim Heller and Tim McCrae and all of the folks that made this event happen, and especially Dover High School and the Dover community, then and now, for influencing and shaping a remarkable man in his young life. We deeply appreciate this honor. Thank you.
Our fifth inductee is Mr. Jake Lingler, an outstanding basketball player whose 1,000 points remains sixth all time in Dover basketball history. And his school record for most points in a single game is one of the top two some 70 years later. During his career, he was rewarded by being selected twice to the first team Central Ohio League, as well as receiving honorable mention and second team All-Ohio honors. Interestingly, as a junior, this 5'9" sharpshooter was the first Dover player to ever average 20 points a game. And he set a school record for that time by scoring 393 points in just 19 games. A graduate of Baldwin-Wallace University, he was a 3-year starter and a captain on the basketball team for 2 seasons. And he left with 2 academic degrees, one in psychology, one in business administration. Although he lived most of his life in Columbus and is unable to join us this evening because of health issues, to him, Dover is his home. And we are proud to welcome him home this evening for his induction into the Dover High School Athletic Hall of Fame. And accepting on Jake's behalf is Hall of Fame member Frank Elwood.
The first thing Jake would say is, he wouldn't say a word because he was such an unassuming person. He would not take a compliment. He'd hide behind whoever was next to him. That's just the way Jake Lingler was. You have to remember, back in the early 50s, there were very few players that shot one-handed. Most of us on the team were still two-handed shooters, and we were shooting foul shots underhanded, which is the way it was done. That's because Jake was a one-handed shooter. He wasn't the first at Dover High School. Bob France probably was one of the first. The older people might remember that. We're talking about 70 years ago. You got to remember a couple things. Number one, Jake was only 5'10" at the most. He played like he was 6'3". Jake scored 45 points against Coshocton in Memorial Hall in one game, which is, I think, probably a record of some kind. But what you have to remember is there was no three-point line. If there had been a three-point line, it might have been 60 or 70 points, because he was a true artist with the basketball. Fortunately, we grew up both in the north side of Dover, but he went to school up at Worcester Highway because he lived just north of Dover. And at that time, Worcester Highway was up through the 8th grade. So Jake didn't really get to Dover High School until he was a freshman. And that's when he started playing his basketball at Dover High School. He, to this day, is the most unassuming person that you would ever want to meet. He doesn't take credit for anything. He would shake his head and just say, okay, that's fine. Somebody had to pass me the ball. That's just what his reaction would be. He was the ultimate team player, and I know because I couldn't shoot fouls, and I could pass the ball, and I was always happy to pass the ball to Jake. Give the ball to Jake Lingler, because he was one of the great scorers. He was also pretty famous at ball and loss. Most of you know who Chuck Deeds was. Well, Chuck Deeds was a year ahead of Jake in high school, and we played against him when Chuck Deeds played at Newark High School. And Chuck Deeds was a giant. Well, you may think he was just a big, heavy-set guy, but Chuck Deeds was 6'3" or 6'4". In those days, anybody over 6'2" was a giant as far as basketball was concerned. Well, Chuck Deeds would speak to me oftentimes about his relationship with Jake at Baldwin Moss, and I think the testimony for Jake is the fact that he was twice elected by his teammates to be captain of his team, which indicates what his teammates thought of him. And to this day, I feel the same way about Jake Lingler. Probably as a sidebar to this, I might add that in high school, Dover High School at that time had 3 boys sports. Dover had football, basketball, and track. That was it. This is in the early 50s. And there was nothing else. Jake played football. He was a defensive end, or an end, because he played both ways in those days. And then after his junior year, but before his junior year, the basketball coach came to Dutch Fergie, who was our head football coach, and said, listen, I'd prefer if you would take Jake and move him a little farther away than defensive end. So Jake became a safety. That's as far away as they could get Jake from the line of scrimmage, so there was no chance that he could get hurt. That was Jake Lingler. He was really a good safety because he played any sport that he could do. Up until recently, he was an outstanding tennis player in Columbus. He's a year older than me, which puts him in his upper 80s, because I'm in my upper 80s, and he's a year older than I am. He was a top student, member of the National Honor Society, was a class officer, just a wonderful person. And if Jake was standing here before you, he would be saying thank you very much to the committee. He's proud, he's a loyal member, he's a loyal Dover fan. He's up to date on all of it. He's very healthy as far as his brain is concerned. He has some difficulty in maneuverability, and that's one of the reasons that he's not here tonight. So on behalf of Jake Lingler, it's an honor for me to say thank you to the committee, and he's tickled to death to be this honor. Thank you.
I'm very appreciative of Frank doing that. I can only say that when I get to be Frank's age, I didn't know he was quite the age he said, but I hope I can look like that, talk like that, and act like that. What a class act Frank Gilwood is. Our next inductee, Mr. John Ebert, is the most successful golfer to ever play for Dover High School, earning all Ohio honors, leading his team to an undefeated season, and ultimately playing professionally. Throughout his high school career in the late 1960s, he was instrumental in his team's compiling a 75, 10, and 3 match record, and during his junior year, the Dover golf team became the first team in school history to qualify for the state tournaments. As a senior, he served as the team captain, and his team continued its impressive run by achieving 11-2-1 record. Upon graduating, John continued his education at Ohio State University, I don't think it was the Ohio State at that time, it was just Ohio State. Finishing with a degree in health education in 1973. From that point, however, his life became focused on pursuing a professional golf career that took him to various tournaments throughout the South, where in 1977, he finished 4th on the money list of the South Florida PGA Tournament Series. In 1978, he qualified for the PGA Tour and spent 2 years playing as a professional. And in 1980, his roots in Naples, Florida were planted as he was hired as the head golf professional at a prestigious golf club. In 1994, John and his wife Vivian bought land in Naples, and he built the John Ebert Golf Learning Center, which he ran for many years. Today, he and his wife continue to live in Naples. It is with great pride that I introduce John Ebert as a 2021 inductee into the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame.
Tim and Jim and Denny and the nominating committee, the Tornado Club, my buddies from high school that came to be with me, my #1 fan, my brother Scott, is here tonight, and all of you for coming out tonight for this event. It's a very special occasion for me, and I sure appreciate you being here. I did have a pretty good career, a good 4 years at Dover in golf, and I won a lot of tournaments. Won a lot of matches. I must admit though, Denny, I read on my bio that I lost a match during that time, and I don't remember that. I remember breaking my foot one time, and I think I played with that broken foot, and that's probably why I lost the match. But anyway, I had a good 4 years. I graduated in '69 and went up to Ohio State and got my, as Mike said, I got my degree in health education. And I must admit at that time, I had no intention of playing professional golf. I wanted to be a school teacher. I wanted to come back to Dover, and word was that Tom Armstrong Sr. was going to retire. And so I thought, boy, how nice would this be? I'll graduate, get my degree in health education, I'll go back to Dover and cruise right into that job and maybe coach golf and assistant coach basketball, and it was going to be great. And so that was my plan. So I went home that summer, and we kind of checked it out, and Tom hadn't decided if he was going to retire yet or not. So I got a call one night, and it was a call that changed my whole life. It was from my first golf pro. His name was Charlie Whipperman. When I was a little kid, he gave me golf lessons and took me to all the junior golf tournaments. And years went by, and I went to school, and Charlie left Ohio and moved to South Florida. And the call was from Charlie Whipperman, and he said, I've gotten the hometown newspaper all these years, and I saw you graduated from college. And I just called to congratulate you, and what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm waiting for a teaching job that I really hope to pick up. And he said, well, that's great. And he said, you know, if you just want to play a little golf this summer and take a little vacation, he said, I'm at a club down in South Florida. Come on down, and you can stay with me and play golf. So I thought, well, that sounds great to me. So off I went to Florida. And I got down there, I played golf, I practiced, had a good time, stayed with Charlie, and one day I got a call from my mom, and she said, well, the job has been filled, and not by you. And so I was really disappointed that I couldn't come back and teach in Dover. So I told Charlie, and Charlie said, well, you know what, I need an assistant pro. If you want to stay right here at the club and be my assistant, that'd be great. I said, okay, why not? And so I turned professional that day. And I worked in the pro shop, and I got plenty of time to play and practice. And before long, I started to get out and play in the local pro-ams. And I started to win pro-ams. And every time I played, I got a check. And time went on, and I branched out, and I started playing statewide tournaments in the state of Florida. And before long, I started to win tournaments again. Now the checks were bigger. And in 1977, I qualified, as Mike said, for the PGA Mini Tour Series. And I finished 4th on the money list that year, and that qualified me to get my PGA Tour card. So in '78, there I went, off across the country. I played all the great golf courses with all the best players, and I remember looking back and saying, beats the hell out of teaching school. But I'll tell you, had I not got that phone call, I would have never gone to Florida, and I would have come back to Dover, and even though I might not have gotten that job, I would have waited until a teaching job came open, and I would have coached, and I would have loved every minute of it, because Dover is truly a special place, and I'm happy to have been from here. You know, when you play on the tour, when you get on the first tee, they always announce your name. And I always insisted that the starter said, "Now on the tee from Dover, Ohio, John Ebert." So I want to thank you very much for this award. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much.
It's great to hear. I never knew how it began. I appreciate you sharing very much. Our seventh inductee this evening is a man whose name is instantly recognized, not only in Dover, not only in Tuscarawas County, not only in Ohio, but because of the path his life has followed, he is known throughout the country. James Black is that man, and what a storied career he has led. As a high school multi-sport athlete, excelling in football, wrestling, and track, his stellar athletic career was highlighted by a 33-0-1 dual meet wrestling record, leading teams to a 42-0 high school dual record, and earning all Ohio honors as a junior and a senior. On the football field, his finest season came as a senior tailback, rushing for over 1,000 yards, leading to an undefeated season. In that same year, he scored twice and rushed for 200 yards against North Canton Hoover. And even more important, 2 weeks later, he led the Tornadoes to a 28-7 thumping of New Philadelphia. For his season performance, he was selected to numerous all-star teams and was chosen as a third-team All-Ohio. His third sport was track, where today his long jump record of 22 feet 4 inches remains the longest standing track record in school history. His next stop was the University of Akron, where he once again became a name to remember. Even today, he still holds more than a dozen school records, including once setting an NCAA standard with 52 carries in one game. A two-time honorable mention All-American, he is a member of the University of Akron's Athletic Hall of Fame. Following graduation, he started on a career path with the Cleveland Browns, but he soon gave up that dream to take a safer path through life as an actor. As of this evening, he has credits in over 140 films and TV shows, as well as over 100 commercials, and he is a resident of Los Angeles, California. As successful as anyone who has ever walked the halls of Dover High School, James Black has definitely earned the respect of this community. I am honored to present Mr. James Black for induction into the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame. James.
Thank you. To the Induction Hall of Fame folks that thought, I think I'm here because nobody else would show up, so I appreciate all of you. And for the folks that have gone before me, I appreciate your speeches and talking about how important the community was and is and still is. And for me, you know, growing up and playing sports was the only thing I could do because my mom wouldn't let me come in the house. So, you know, I had to play 3 sports because if I went home, there was chores there, and they never got done because my brother Mark and my sister Bridget and Paris would never do them, and they did them for me. So I was always either at the stadium working out or running because I had no place to go. You know, this is very special to me because there's a lot of great athletes in Dover. And, you know, right now, the wrestling team is just amazing. You guys are kicking butt down there. It's not an easy sport. Wrestling, I learned how to spit to lose weight. You guys don't know anything about that. Just pretend I didn't say that. But honestly, I think I became a good athlete because of my mom. She's one of the toughest people that I know. She couldn't make it tonight. She's doing well. She wasn't feeling good tonight, so she's not here. But she made it through a lot in my life. She had cancer a few times. She had double knee surgery. There's this guy in my neighborhood now. He had one surgery on his knee, and he was complaining about it. My mom never said a thing. Double knee surgery, him, bone cancer, open heart surgery, and she's still doing very well. And that's the kind of blood that I grew up in. So I'm just somebody that's trying to follow in my mom's footsteps and make her proud. She was the perfect blend of mentor and disciplinarian. Somebody who one night, I was a little tired. She goes, you gonna run tonight? And I'd rather watch TV, but I had to do it. And my brother, who was, he went to Ashland College. He was a 4-time All-American there, and he was an alternate in the Olympics. And my brother, Paris, he played football. He played offense and defense, and he rushed for over 1,100 yards, and he only played half of the time. So I'm not even the best athlete in my house. So I'm honored to be here. And, you said I went out to Los Angeles because I have warrants. No, I'm just kidding. I have no other skill, so I had to do something. I was never in class when I was supposed to be. I see some of my teachers and counselors back there. I was always in the hallway doing something, and they're like, "Where's your hall pass?" And I'm like, I'll be right back. I'll never get it. And I never did. And I remember one time, I was on my bike riding past the high school, and Coach Mallory gave us wrestling uniforms. And Mr. Heller was out the window. He goes, "When are you bringing those things back?" And you probably don't remember it, but I do. And I still got it. It's in the car. I'll get it to you. We'll talk. And I got a chance to see Mr. Meese back there and Mr. Fassbinder. Thank you for being here. We had a great chat about the pegboard and the rope. We still get to climb the rope. There's a lot of burns that I remember. I take those with me everywhere I go. In college it was easy because we had to go through gym class here at Dover. That's just the worst. So thank you for that. I got a C in gym because I couldn't remember to bring the red trunks. I always had whatever was there in my house, and I had green and pink and blue. But how do you not get an A in gym? It's easy. It's easy. I'll teach you. But I do want to thank Doug Clark, also a good friend of mine. I moved here right before 5th grade. My mom got remarried, and she came here, and she raised us to be truthful and conscientious. And that's what I've met here. And I met some good people, and Doug is one of those people. When I first moved here, I went to the store, which is not far from where my mom lives now. And Doug gave me my first football and spikes when I moved here. And you're a lifelong friend, and I do appreciate it. I'll never forget it. And a lot of people in this room now, I really, truly am honored to know you and call you friend. And I want to thank you for this award. And I'll take this and
It's ticking, isn't it? Is that Is yours ticking?
I'm still doing right.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Doug did say he was going to write my speech, and he didn't.
I just wanted to say that.
That was your first mistake. Oh, we all remember the days of the required gym uniforms, don't we? I'm laughing because I think everybody else is laughing. When considering our next inductee, Mr. Adam Donahue's long list of accomplishments as qualifiers for induction into this Hall of Fame, it must be noted these individual awards contributed to the success of every team he played on throughout his high school career. A 14-time letter winner, Adam excelled in football, wrestling, and baseball, serving as team captain in every sport. As a football linebacker and offensive guard, he played a pivotal role in Coach Dan If's first ECOL title. As a result, he was a first-team All-Ohioan and played in the prestigious Ohio North-South game, cementing his reputation as one of those guys opponents did not want to confront. He's a tough guy, bottom line. His wrestling accomplishments parallel his football successes. A 4-time state qualifier and a 2-time state placer. Adam is the highest state placer, one of the few 2-time placers, and the only 4-time state qualifier in the history of Dover wrestling. That success led him to wrestle at Ohio State University. Never experiencing an off-season, Adam played baseball as well, helping his senior year team to an ECOL championship. It has to be stressed that in this neck of the woods, that his private claim to fame is that his personal record against New Philadelphia in all sports he participated is a remarkable 17-1. And I smile when I say that. Today, Adam serves as an assistant wrestling coach at Olentangy Liberty High School, while also working full-time at KeyBank as a regional sales leader. His athleticism and toughness have also been shown by his running several marathons and half marathons, as well as participating in 2 Ironman competitions. His family includes his wife, Jessica, a 1997 Dover High School graduate, and his 3 children, Charlie, Piper, and Blaze, of which Charlie and Piper are seated right here today. On behalf of this community, I am so pleased to introduce Mr. Adam Donahue as a 2021 inductee into the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. And, thank you for putting me right behind the movie star. But thank you everybody for coming out. Thank you to the nomination committee and the selection committee. Mr. McCray, thank you for everything you've done along the way. I'll say that I was sitting at work when I got a call from an unidentified New Philly number. And like any good Doberman would do, I sent it right to voicemail. So I was pleasantly surprised when I picked it up later in the day and saw that it was you. So, maybe get that switched over or call from the school, future classes. I need to, first of all, thank my wife, Jessica, who was a huge supporter of me throughout my high school career. She continues to support the Donahues in their athletics as she has my son up in Youngstown right now at the youth state tournament. So I'll be dashing out of here when we're done to go join them. I want to recognize my son Charlie, my daughter Piper, who are here. I hope that they can find something that they're passionate about and pour their hearts into it and find success in whatever they choose to. I want to thank my mom and my sister for their support along the way. When we made the decision to transfer up here to Dover from Newcomerstown, it wasn't easy on them, but I appreciate the sacrifices along the way there. And Brad and Mary Jane, thanks for coming out today. I want to also thank all my teammates, my coaches. Matt Von Kennel's here with us today, so thanks for showing up, Matt. My coaches, Coach Bullock's here, Coach McCartney, Coach Klinker, and then my football coaches, Coach Margoletta, and Coach Morris in particular, along with Coach Edwards, who is the position coach for us. And then I want to thank two more people. First off, Coach F, thank you for coming out today. You've taught me so much more than just about football. You know, all the things that goes along with the team sports and being a leader. And I'll tell you a quick Coach F story. Matt was actually talking to my kids about how I played a few games with a broken bone in my arm. But the truth behind that was one time I had to go into Coach F's office and tell him about a little trouble I got into over a sled riding incident. And basically I didn't want to have to go into his office and tell him any more bad news. So I was like, it's easier just to play with the broken bone. Go into Coach F's office. But you know, he taught me so much about you know, about being a man and being a father, and you know, I can't thank you enough. And then lastly, to my dad, you know, thank you for believing in me. I know it was a tough decision to make, but ultimately it proved out to be the right one. And you know, taking me to all the tournaments like I'm about to do, and you know, all the games, and just always being there. And you really showed me you know, how to be a father and coach my own kids there. So thank you. Congratulations to all the other inductees. And I think I speak for us all when I say that, you know, I never put the uniform or the singlet on for myself. It was always for the Dover community. People like Coach Keffer and Mr. Clark, and you know, John DeVore and all these other people in the community that cared so much about us, and it was easy to put forth the effort and compete and try to make you all proud. So thank you for everything.
Before we begin with our final inductee, I would like to direct your attention, please, to the far table in the back. We have three of the most successful coaches. We've had others as well, but three of the most successful coaches in the history of Dover sports. You have the all-time winningest football coach, Dan Everett, all-time winningest basketball coach, Ron Whetstone, all-time winningest volleyball coach, Beth Matthews. We need to get Brenda Worley here. Yeah. Considered to be one of the most natural athletes ever to come through the Dover girls athletic programs, our final inductee, Miss Kate Fishley, excelled in basketball and volleyball and participated in track as well for the Lady Crimson Tornadoes during the era of great girls athletic teams, and was instrumental in leading the Tornadoes to not one, not two, but 3 state tournament appearances, 2 in volleyball and 1 in basketball. A 4-year starter in basketball, Kate and her teams advanced every year beyond the sectional tournaments, culminating as state runners-up in her senior year. Individually, she was chosen as the state tournament MVP during that tournament run, and her career statistics and accomplishments are outstanding. Perhaps as equally impressive as her 1,072 career points is that during her 4 years on the court, her teams were 82-16. As a volleyball player, she was also a 4-year letter winner, contributing to a record of 50-6 during her junior and senior years when she led her teams to the state Final Four in 96 and 97. As in basketball, her awards were numerous, including being selected as second team Ohio her senior year and playing in the Division II Ohio All-Star Volleyball game. As we all know, being an outstanding athlete is a tremendous accomplishment. However, when we talk about Kate, we find much more depth to her story. Yes, she attended and played basketball at Capital University for 2 years before doing the same at Walsh University. For her to continue her athletic career at the college level was highly commendable. But when I think of Kate's success story, an additional layer must be added. In 2011, she was awarded her doctorate degree in special education and applied behavior analysis from the Ohio State University, thus earning the right to be referred to in the academic world as Dr. Kate Fishley, an accomplishment even more significant than her athletic achievements. Tonight, I am so proud and honored to welcome Dr. Kate Fishley into the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame.
I first want to thank the Tornado Club for this wonderful event and the way you support the community. I also want to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for this honor. I don't know that I had spent a whole lot of time reflecting on my childhood until I became a mom. My entire perspective in life changed in 2013 when Kendall was born, and then Mila in 2014. Everything I do now is through my mom lens. My mom lens has made me critique the ways I was influenced while growing up in order to provide the best environment for my girls. As through this reflection, I become incredibly grateful for my childhood community. My most influential community is my immediate family. I was blessed with a mom and dad who were born to parent me. They understood my unwavering independence, my need to learn from my own mistakes, and my need for their presence and love, but not necessarily their advice. After games, my mom and dad never once critiqued how I played. They gave me a hug, space, and then told me they were proud of me. I can see now, even with first and second grade basketball players and golfers, how incredibly difficult that is to keep your mouth closed. But because of the way I love my mom and dad and how they parented me, I know this is the mom I will strive to be. Thank you to both of them for the way they always voice their love and pride, and for knowing how to be the perfect mom and perfect dad for me. Some people are lucky to have two parents. Somehow I was lucky enough to have two bonus parents, Kelly, my stepmom, and John, my stepdad. I was a bit of a wild child in my adolescent years, so maybe God thought he better send in a few extra hands. Whatever the reason, these two parents who didn't have to be parents at all have been there through it all. Kelly was always my loudest cheerleader at games, and I could always feel how much she loved being there to cheer me on, and that dedication always meant the world to me. John was my home coach, my Monday morning quarterback, if you will. He would greet me at the dinner table after games with some feedback about the game. I won't say it was always the highlight of my day, but I will say his critiques let me know he was there and watching everything I did. Both of my bonus parents loved me in different ways, and their support has certainly shaped the person I am today. Thank you, Kel and John, for loving me when you didn't have to. Aside from my family, the people that had the largest influence on me in Dover were my coaches and other athletic staff. I think of all the amazing people, not just coaches, but actual amazing humans that have influenced who I am today. I remember lovingly so many people: Julie Smith, Mr. Castricone, Coach Lorenz, Coach Spicer, Mr. Willoughby, Mr. Vesco, Coach Morris, and the legendary John DeVore. I feel especially in debt to Mr. Keffer, Coach Matthews, and Coach Immel. I can pinpoint specific lessons learned from each of you. Mr. Keffer taught me about the importance of honesty and looking someone in the eye. Coach Matthews and Coach Immel both taught me about character, consistency, and trust. When I think about who I am today, I can say that confident is a word I'm surprised to be using to describe myself. This confidence began with those three individuals who believed in me, honored who I was as a strong-willed and sometimes defiant adolescent, and always made me feel like who I was just fine with them in the world. I can't thank you enough, Mr. Keffer, Coach Matthews, and Coach Immel, for believing in me and giving me room to grow. I will forever be grateful to have been raised in the bubble of Dover, Ohio, and in Dover schools. This bubble allowed me to grow alongside people who supported me and who believed in me. I hope the Dover community as a whole truly understands the power they have to shape and impact young lives. I would ask that the entire community continue to lift up every athlete, honor student, thespian, nerd, queer, slacker, and every other student that crosses your paths. I hope you will make them all feel seen and valued the way that you all did me. Thank you.
As we head toward the closing remarks, if you can allow me about 2 minutes, and we'll go. It's been a wonderful week. The speeches that have been delivered have been outstanding. Outstanding. Thank you. Thank you for preparing. Thank you for being here. That's such an important part of being recognized by your hometown community. But tonight's closing remarks are very simply stated. We are so fortunate in this community for everything we have. We have a new high school. We have excellent athletic facilities, except the stadium needs some repair work. We have highly respected athletic coaches. We have an involved and insightful administration. We have winning programs. We have respectful kids, for the most part, and supportive taxpayers and donors. Please don't ever take for granted what we have in this community. One thing to remember, always, always treasure the pride in Dover. Thank you very much.